Hi, it's Andrei, and this is my next workshop about Flutter, and today we're going to create simple weather application, and we will use weather open API and some nice architecture which is called Flutter Bloc or just Bloc, whatever you prefer. So as design I have chosen Google weather app design. So if you search in Google Images for Google weather app for Android, yeah, it looks pretty like this. So we have some forecasts, weather forecasts. We show the temperature. Of course, we are limited by weather API because we use the free plan, and we cannot show some like every hour forecast, or we cannot show some other information, and we will just show the today forecast and forecasts for 6 days ahead. So something like this. So yeah, that's basically it. I mean, application will be super minimalistic and without any complicated features, but I believe that this is a good showcase to show the architecture. This is our plan for today. So first thing first, we are going to start project and set up project dependencies. This is where we always start. The next gonna be we are going to create our first block, and after that we will implement simple dependency injection. We're not going to use a library for that. We also will use GoRouter as a solution for routes. After that, we are going to create data model for weather forecast. And finally, we are going to do some permissions, location permissions, and UI. I mean, we start business logic first. This is kind of my approach to complete this task, but it's fine to mix up these steps as much as you want. So here is our project. This is a simple Flutter app where I use the Flutter create command. And as you might know, when you use this command, Flutter generates a bunch of comments and some code, which is usually a demo where you can increment the counter. So just to showcase the state management and how it works. But if you want to create a Flutter project without this code, without these comments, you can just use simply Flutter create E, and it will generate an empty Flutter project. Yeah, it's also worth to mention that I generated some specific styles for this project, because you see that it's not default one. We see the blue background and also the specific API key, which I'm not going to push to GitHub because it's a secret. And as I use free plan for Open Weather API, I cannot share it. So this is something you need to generate yourself. And of course, this styles.dart file. Let's see what is inside. So this theme data basically generated by OpenAI. So I asked for some theme data which looks close to Google weather application, and it generated me this theme data, which in my opinion looks not bad. So now we're going to get rid of all of those comments because obviously we don't need them. Actually, yeah, this one we don't need as well. Actually, we don't need the whole application widget. Let's remove it. I would also ask you to not call application widget my app, because in my opinion that's not a good guideline. Like according to the clean code book, naming such mine or someone else, it's not a good convention. So we just simply call it weather app. Now we can basically run app. That's pretty much it. So here we need to replace placeholder with scaffold, or no, wait a minute. We need to replace it with material app, and here we need to basically have instance of our theme data, which I showed you before inside the styles. Yes, perfect. So now we can try to run our application and see the result, which is pretty obvious. It's just empty screen. Nothing is here as we don't have child for material app. Now it's basically dependency time. So we need to specify dependencies, and as you can see, we have to get rid of the code. I mean, not the code, the comments we have in pubspec YAML file. So we don't need this one. As you can see, Visual Studio is already asked to run Dart fix command. We don't really need it now. Okay, let's get rid of this huge comment. Publish this one as well. Publish to. I think we are not going to publish this code to pub.dev, so we don't need this line as well. Okay. So what kind of dependencies do we need? First one is architectural dependency, which is called Flutter Bloc, and we will add it right here. So Flutter pub add Flutter Bloc, and it will add the latest stable dependency. As well, we need equitable because this dependency works together with Flutter Bloc. We need to compare states, we need to compare events, and now again I think we need something for network. So we need Flutter add Duo, which I believe nowadays is the best network solution. Also, we would add GoRouter, which I mentioned before, to manage our routes. And it's not last, we would need to add permissions because we need to get user current location to get proper weather forecast for this user, so it takes a bit longer. Yes, we got dependencies. And what else? We would need to add location itself, which uses the location API under the hood. And I think last but not least, we need to add icon set. It's called ion icons. This is pretty handy free icon set, which we are going to use to show specific weather conditions. So yeah, that's it about the dependencies. Let's try to make our project skeleton. The same for dependencies. I will start with blocks package, which is obviously going to take all of the blocks and events and states. And the next one is DI, which stands for dependency injection. The next one is going to be network, where we have some classes to complete network requests. And finally, the presentation. Widgets, screens, everything is in this package. So looks like we have our skeleton, and now let's write down a comment what our app will do. So what's the start of the app? So first we are going to check location permission. The second step will be what if permission is granted. So let's write down here if location permission is granted. So we probably are going to open weather forecast screen. So we will load weather forecast and show it. And if permission is not granted, we are going to show some sort of permission screen where user can basically grant this permission. Yes, we show permission widget. And now these comments, they look for me like a nice blueprint for our future event. And this is something we're going to do now. We're going to create weather forecast event.dart, and I will just add weather forecast state.dart, and finally the third one, weather forecast block.dart. Let's start from the event. And in the event, I will copy paste the code, the comment we wrote before. Yeah, sorry, this was the wrong input. Yes, it's here. Let's have it. Yeah, so based on these comments, we can write our events. Of course, first event is going to be abstract class weather forecast event, which is abstract, and all other events are going to extend it. We already extend equitable. And yes, so now we need to also override list of object properties. So if you know how equitable works, this is pretty obvious for you, but if you don't, you can check out the PubDev equitable page, but this is something we need to compare different objects. Okay, now let's create events. And first one is going to be obviously check location permission event. Please don't forget to add event in the end of the class name, so it's easy then to understand what this class is doing. We need to extend weather forecast event, and it's going to be like this, so empty. The second one, we can remove the first step. The second one is we need to check load weather forecast. So we need to load weather forecast. It's also event, and it's going to extend weather forecast event. The next one, and I think it's the last one, we're going to grant permission. So we're showing permission widget, and if permission is not granted, we need to request it. So this one is going to be request location permission event. Yes. Actually, I noticed that we don't really need equitable here because we don't have any properties, but it's just for future. So let's have a solid architecture from the beginning. And now it's turn to make a weather forecast state, which is going to be single state. So I prefer to use the single state. And yeah, we create weather forecast state the same way we override props. And here we actually need it. So we will have some properties. First property is going to be obvious. I think it's going to be Boolean is loading. As we have network request, it's of course asynchronous, and we need to wait for the result. We need to show user some loading indicator. We also need a permission status. or state. Yeah, let's call it state. And it could be granted or declined. Based on this state, we will show permission widget or weather forecast widget, which we'll create later. Okay, this is also a part of the state, and for now, I think we are good. So we added those fields to our constructor, and they are named. Please don't forget to add comma in the end of the line and format code, because formatting is very important. And finally, we need to create our block. As we already have a state and we have event, we can create a block. We need to extend the block, and we need to add these parameters, generics. First one is always forecast event or event, and the second one is a state. Okay, what do we need to do? We need to add the constructor with initial state. Okay, yeah, looks good. It's empty, it does nothing, but we can say that we already started the project, set it up dependencies, and created our first block, which is empty. So logic later. Now I would say that it's a good thing to move our application widget to the separate file. I would like to keep main almost empty. Yes, let's move it to weather app, add imports, import material, and import our styles. And the same way we import our weather app inside the main. Well, cool. So we can proceed with doing GoRouter. But before that, we need a screen. We'll have one single weather forecast screen, which is going to be stateless widget. Use STLS to generate stateless widgets faster. We call it weather forecast screen. And it's gonna return scaffold for now. Okay. Let's check again our action points. What are our tasks? Implement simple dependency injection and GoRouter. Simple, this is the keyword. So we are not going to use any libraries. We already have DI package, dependency injection package, and inside this dependency injection package, we are going to create a new file, which I will call app, sorry, from the small letter, this is important, app module.dart. Okay, this app module is basically a class. It's super simple class. We don't need to extend anything, and here we would need only one single function, which is void init dependencies. So the function where we're going to initialize all of the dependencies we want to inject. It's a similar pattern to service locator, and the disadvantage is that you might have some boilerplate code and it's harder to manage dependencies. In the weather app, we need our app module as a class field, and we are going to inject this app module as a simple constructor parameter. Finally, initialization of app module will happen in the main file. We create an instance of app module, and right here we are going to init dependencies. That's it. Okay, what's wrong here? Yeah, it's actually a function, right? So the second error, we need to add app module as a constructor parameter. It's not formatting, obviously, because it has to be a function. Yes, now it's good. Okay, now let's jump into our weather app. And here, as we have in our tasks list, we need to create our GoRouter function. So we use GoRouter, get, no, not GoRouter. I think it's not a perfect name. Let's do get GoRouter. And this one is going to return, yeah, we'll put app module here because GoRouter is also initializer for our blocks, and we are going to use app module inside the block. So GoRouter requires routes, and in our case it's going to be single route because we have single screen. Maybe in future we'll have more, but our home screen will start with this slash, and we need a builder. Each GoRouter requires a builder, and builder has context and state. It's not a block state. It will return block provider, which is responsible for initialization of our block. Good thing that we already have block, and it's going to be, oh, sorry, yeah, like this. It's going to be weather forecast block. Yes. Initial state. Yeah, let's have a simple constructor without initial state. For that, I would just make a default state here. So for that, we need super call of parent constructor, and inside super call we will pass some default dependence, some default state, sorry, with loading false and permission state. Let's do it declined. Of course, don't forget to mark it as a constant and add comma in the end, which makes our code nicer. Okay, error, yeah, now we're good. So coming back to GoRouter, now we don't need to pass any initial state. We created our block and we have to specify a child for our block provider. Yeah, it's going to be here. Yeah, sorry, just slow thinker. As a child, we need to return our forecast screen. So what will happen when we execute the app? First, sorry, almost forgot. We also have to use router constructor, and we need to return, we need to use the function which we created right now. So let's add root delegate. Yeah, we also need instance of router, get router, app module we already have, and we can call router.router delegate, as well as root information provider, as well as root information parser. So what's going to happen when the app will start? It will use this single /root and will open the screen which we return in the block provider. I also didn't mention this small sizer dependency. This is really handy dependency to support different screens. So if you're familiar with Android development, there are DPs and SPs for text. This is some abstract units based on density of the screen. And here, what I'm doing now, I'm initializing sizer. So sizer also has to be initialized. We will use it in future for UI. I will show it. This is really cool tool, which I highly recommend to use in your projects. So whatever device size you have, you will have stable, consequent UI which looks similar on different screen sizes if you use this sizer library. Okay, we will not dive into the sizer a lot, but I just want to mention that it's super simple. It uses media query under the hood, and it basically calculates the sizes, depends on the screen. I just run the project, and as you can see, yeah, we have our weather forecast screen, which means that we implemented simple dependency injection and GoRouter. So yeah, the next step, as you can see from here, we need to create data model for weather forecast. I already have a JSON for our future network request, and as you can see, it's quite massive. It has list of, so it's called weather forecast, I think, lots of data. So it's kind of hourly forecast, but it's different for every 3 hours. And it has lots of information, like what kind of weather, how it feels like, about wind, about clouds, about the location of this weather forecast. So the data, of course. And the truth is that we are not going to use all of the data. We have to somehow combine it. My idea to have a couple of days weather forecast, and we don't need a lot from this data. So for now, I'm going to create a simple model which will represent the weather forecast, which I'm going to show in the list or something like this. For that, let's create weather forecast.dart, which is going to be a simple data class, so to say. I will call it weather forecast. And here we will have some properties like date. And the next property is going to be the temperature. But this is a bit boring, so I'm going to skip this part. And now, with magic of editing, you can see the whole weather forecast like this. As you can see, you didn't miss a lot. So I just added the temperature, humidity, wind, pressure, cloudness, and special enum, which is called weather condition, because weather OpenAPI returns weather condition as some sort of double, and based on this weather condition, I'm going to calculate what icon to show to the user. So we made our model, and I call it success. Next step, as you can see, is implementing permissions and UI for those permissions. Here you would need to have some small amount of native developer skills. For this showcase, I will just implement permissions for Android only. You have to find Android manifest file. This is a special file which is responsible for declaring Android components and permissions. So this is like a declaration file, so to say. And here, let's write the tag. This is XML. Let's write the tag called uses permission. It's quite hard to do it here in Visual Studio Code, because Android Studio usually has autocompletion for permission. So yeah, just write it down like this or copy paste it from somewhere. For location, we need access find location permission. Don't forget to close the tag. And let's copy paste this line for the second permission, which is going to be course location. This combination of Android permissions, we need to ask for from user to be able to get location. So yeah, this one is done. For iOS, it's pretty similar. You need to add a special line to info plist file, but just to save some time, because this workshop is already long enough, we'll do it Android only. Besides, I don't have iOS device with me to check how it works. So yeah, coming back to coding, here I just want to specify default parameters for our fields in the state, so we don't need to always ask for default state in the block, and we can just use empty constructor. So it's basically the same which I did before, but I moved the initialization. Besides, we would need to add list of our weather forecast. Where is it? Yes, it's here. Because we already created weather forecast model in the previous step. And the same here, we add, it has to be inside the naming constructor. Yes, and it has to be also initialized with empty array. Yeah, of course, it has to be constant. Okay. This one is created, which means that we can remove this default initialization for properties. Okay, well, great. So how to handle events? We know that you can just check Flutter Bloc examples, but you don't need to. We have to make implementation of our constructor. We use a function called on, which takes our event as a generic. So we want to check location permission, and it takes the other function inside, which is going to be check location permission. This function is not created yet. So let's press command dot and we create method. Perfect. So don't forget to add the comma in the end to have it better. And every parameter is visible then. This function returns future or as a main return type and void inside the generic. So let's ask for permission state. We have permission package already added, or permission dependency added into our project. Let's import it, and we are interested in location, especially the status of this location. Let's see what it returns. It returns the future. We don't need a future. We need Boolean or okay, async that. Yeah, of course, it should be async. Yeah, status is not a Boolean, sorry. It's a specific type called permission status. Yeah, it's status, please. Yes. If it's granted, this one is Boolean. What we do? We're going to load weather, but it's not ready yet. So we are taking care of else case for now. And in else case, we are going to emit new state. And the new state is going to be the state with permission denied. And before emitting the new state, we need to change it a little bit. So there is a thing called copy with function. This is just a boilerplate code, and I generated it for you just to save some time. So, oh, of course, I forgot that we have to change properties. So we have already weather forecast is loading and permission state. When one of those properties will change, it still emits the new state, so the block knows that the state is updated. Now we can use this copy with function, and only one change we're going to introduce is that permission is declined. Okay, so we check the permission, it's declined, and what else? What's then? Now it's UI part, because here we have only scaffold, and obviously our weather forecast screen is not listening to any state changes. It doesn't have block instance, and we need to change it. First, let's wrap it to block builder to be able to listen to state changes. Okay, yes, we have block builder. There are generics. First one is our block, weather forecast block, and the second one is weather forecast state. Yes. Also here parameters, we have the second one as a state. Now, as soon as state changes, our widget tree will be able to listen to this state changes. As well as block builder, we need block instance. And for that, we use block provider. I think we need a function called off, which requires a context and the generic of our block. Yes, context. Fine. Yeah, we already initialized our block in the app, and here we are kind of injecting it through the block provider so we can get the instance of our block. We already listen to state, but we do nothing. So this is basically the time to create our UI. Before that, I want to make a separate permission widget, because if permission is not granted, we need to have a separate permission widget. It's going to be simple stateless widget with some text, with some button, and I want to pass directly into this permission widget the block instance using simple construction. Yeah, so we don't really need block provider here, but of course we can have it as it's part of that screen. But yeah, just do it old-fashioned way. As we already have scaffold in the top, we need just a column. Column has children, and the first widget in our column is going to be some sort of icon, like location icon. Let's do the location icon in the circle. Yeah, I just want to make it like this. So for this, we need a container with the decoration, and this decoration will have a circle shape. Box shape circle, and yeah, as a child, we're going to give it an icon, and we use some icon data. Is there some location? Icons, location, city outlined, location on. Let's see how it looks later. The size, let's make it big. Of course, don't forget to add the constant, add commas, and yeah, this is our first widget in permission widget. Of course, just for now, I'm going to return it right away. Do not use the state, just to see how it looks. Block. Okay, what's wrong? Of course, it has to be not a constant anymore because we modifying the child widget or body widget. Let's rebuild it, and yeah, looks good. We have icon. So next step is going to be to add some text, which explains user why. User needs to give this permission, and we'll write like, please give us location permission. Is it enough? No. To get your weather forecast. Okay, simple. And I will just right away specify some style. Okay, style, not text style, just style, text style. To be honest, for me, text style would be more consistent, but anyway. What is wrong here? No, it's not a constant. No. Actually, it should be a constant. Yes, it should be a constant. And yeah, we forgot about the comma. So as I said, don't forget about the comma. And here is the place where we are going to use not a text. We need the color, of course. Yes, let's change the color to, I don't know, black, no, blue-gray. And here, this is the place where we are going to use sizer, which I showed you before, for implementing font size. Before that, we'll set font weight to 300. Let's make it thin, I don't know. And font size is going to be 18 SP. Yes, here we need to import sizer library. Don't forget about commas. Now it looks way better. What is SP? It's just some sizer util which calculates the scalable pixel, which is the best thing for text sizes. And yeah, as I said before, highly recommended. Yeah, and let's rebuild it to see what's going on there. How to restarting. Okay, perfect. We have some text. Yeah, it looks thin, it looks normal size, and last widget in this column is going to be some widget to listen to actions. There are many ways to implement it in Flutter. I will just use gesture detector for whatever reason. It has on top property, and here I'm going to use block first time. So we're going to add request location permission event. Child is going to be a container with some padding and with some custom shape. So I want rounded corner, sorry. Yeah, let's make the padding. Yeah, as you can see, I use sizer here as well. So 1v, which is 1% of width and 1% of height. We use custom box decoration with custom color. which is going to be white, and the shape also should be, oh no, not the shape, the border radius, sorry. Border radius, which is circular with 20 as a radius for border radius. So yeah, looks good. Our container doesn't have child, and this child is going to be a text with some nice action, like grant a permission. Yes. Let's specify some style, text style. What is the color? Also, blue-gray has to be fine. And also set the size. We had 18 SP, which is a little bit big. Oh, let's try it. Let's try it anyway. Yeah, don't forget about commas. Let's rebuild the thing. Yeah, perfect. I would like to make it in the center. I added some padding, as you can see, a little bit more. I also will use size boxes to make a space between widgets, because you know they are too connected to each other. And size box with 2h, 2% of height, and I will copy paste the same size box to the bottom, or between icon and text. Let's build it. Okay, a little bit more. Yeah, looks good. And I want to have it in the center. For that, I would need to change my column a little bit. Okay. I will wrap with padding to have some paddings around my column. Let's wrap it to the center. No, it's not gonna work. Okay. What else I need to change? Yeah, it's just main axis size. I will use max, or sorry, min. Yeah. Now it's good. Now it's good because it's already centered and it has minimal axis size. I pressed the rebuild button just to... I accidentally stopped, and now we need to rebuild the project. Let's see what's gonna happen. Okay. Sorry, I just used the wrong device. No. Yeah, it's still connected. Okay. Yeah, now it should work. Yeah, we're running it on our Android emulator. So let's wait for the result. Okay, doesn't look good. Build failed. What happened? Yeah, I think Flutter suggests to change the Kotlin version. I have outdated one. Let's go into build Gradle. Not this one, the project build Gradle. And here we have 1.7.10. We need 1.9.21. Okay, no, we're not running the Groovy. Change back to state. Yeah, fingers crossed, and let's see what is the build result here. Of course, first build takes some time, but at least it already looks better. So at least it's compiling. Yeah, so simple suggestion, just need to keep your dependencies up to date, especially Flutter dependency. Okay, let's press the grant permission button. Okay, oh, exception has occurred. Of course, it never works from the beginning. Request location permission was called without a registered event handler. Looks like we are not handling this event properly. Let's check the block. Yeah, of course, we actually checking the wrong event, handling the wrong event, sorry. But we need this event as well. So probably this is the right time to handle the second event, request location permission event. Because first one is for checking and the second one is for requesting. And for requesting, we would need a separate function called request location permission. The same way, then we press command dot and create a method. We never forget about commas to have a nice code. And what do we need actually here? I think the body of this function will be super similar to the function above, except probably status. We don't need a status, we need some function which requests permission. Let me briefly read the documentation. Okay, so I will just copy paste this. Yes, and here yeah, it should be a sync function as we do some asynchronous call, and instead of status we need to write location dot request. I mean, this function looks pretty similar to the previous one, so you can utilize most of the code. Okay, yeah, now it's rebuilt, and I can press, whoa, yeah, we have it. We have location permission dialog, and we see that whether app is asking device location. Other valid point is that how we're going to use other event, which is check location permission. I think we need to execute this event when we start our permission, not the permission widget, when we start our weather forecast screen. For that, we can use a function add, but right here, it's like apply in Kotlin. So this construction will return our weather forecast block itself. And the event will be executed right away when we create the block. So we created the block and we right away execute check location permission. So when our weather forecast screen starts, we check location permission first. And now I think it's a good time to depend on the state. So if state permission status is declined, we show this permission widget. And but before that, I want to create a new folder widgets and put there permission widget. I don't really like when our widgets stay together in other widgets files, so I'll create a separate one to make it cleaner, so to say. Location permission widget. Let's copy paste it. Imports Yeah, it's convenient when you develop something, you can just don't need to jump from file to file, but after it's implemented or it's in some final state, yeah, let's import it here. Yeah, the second one. Yes. Also, let's get rid of useless imports. Yeah, now it's fine. So when you implement some UI, it's nice to have it in one file. After it's done, it's better to split it because it's so hard to find some specific information if you need to change the widget. So we implemented permissions UI, congratulations. And the biggest UI task for us is going to be implementing UI for weather forecast. And yeah, as I said before, we can create weather forecast widget here within the weather forecast screen. I will move it later after it's done. It will have placeholder just for now, but here we can already think about state, so we can check our state and check permission status. What widget do we need to show? We need to show permission widget or we need to show weather forecast widget. Okay, how it can be done? For this, I will create some mapping function like widget, which will return widget, and I'll call it state to widget. So it will take weather forecast state, yes, and it will return a widget. So if state permission state is or well, how was it? Oh yeah, we need to use this equalize, double equalize permission state granted. We're going to return weather forecast widget, not screen. And otherwise, we're going to return permission, location permission widget. Yes, location, no, just permission widget. Yeah, we miss block here, so let's pass block as well. Weather forecast block. Yeah, this is nice. And now we can easily replace this permission widget here to state, to widget function. State block, don't forget comma. Yes, something like this. Well, it looks good to me. We have weather forecast widget if permission is granted and otherwise. Anyway, let's rebuild it. Restart. As you see, our permission status is still not granted. Yeah, now it's good. But something is wrong. Yeah, I know what's wrong. We actually never changed the permission state in the block. So this is something which has to be done. So we expect that it will change the widget, but no, because this case is not handled. So we need to emit state, copy with permission state granted. Yeah. Perfect. The same we need to add for request location permission. Yes. So it's a little bit different what we discussed before. So in this place, we would need to load weather data from the backend. Yeah, see, it shows the placeholder. So everything works correct. One thing I would like to check if it really works. So let's go to the settings, apps, weather app, and permissions. We need to decline it manually, don't allow. Okay. Okay, let's actually rebuild it. So just want to test the entire flow, that it works well. Okay, we see the screen. Let's press grant permission while using the app. Yeah, perfect. It shows the new weather forecast widget, which we are going to modify now. So we need some user interface. So the user interface for weather forecast widget, I see like a big, huge, massive card with today's weather, which will show temperature, which will show humidity, maybe wind speed, and the icon, and list of small weather forecast for next days. So I'm going to start with those small ones. Let's use safe area here because we have scrolling list to not overlap anything. Yeah, safe area, and we will have list view builder as a child. For item builder, yeah, let's use this one, and we return some item, which, as I said before, is going to be a card. Inside the card, inside this small card for future forecasts, we'll have only date, icon, and temperature. I think it's enough. So today forecast is more important, and tomorrow forecast will be just fine. And okay, I would need here list of weather forecasts because I think it's the only thing which is shown by this widget. So this widget is only responsible for showing weather forecasts. So we don't need to pass the state with all of the information, just weather forecasts. Let's make, oh, it's named. Weather forecasts, and yeah, it has to be named. Let's name just forecasts. Sorry, it's just a long time coding, and sometimes it's hard to stay efficient. Yeah. Okay. It's going to be vertical. Let's check quickly the documentation. List view builder. It has this scroll direction. Yes, I think it's this one. I don't really know if it has default value. I think it has, but anyway, let's add some value. It's going to be axis vertical. Okay, the length or item size is going to be the size or the length of our forecasts list. So item count is going to be state, no, not state, forecast dot length. Okay. We have a card. As I said, in the card, we're going to have three widgets, which is date, which is icon, and temperature in a row. So this means that we need the row as a child widget here. So child row, and obviously row has children, and the first child is going to be text, text which will represent the data, not the date, sorry. So we have a forecasts list, we have specific index, and we can get the date. Also, I will specify style right away. Text style, font size is going to be smaller. 12 sp has to be enough. Don't forget to import it. Commas, yeah. The next widget is going to be an icon. Let's write it down. Icon, icons dot sunny. I will do just some hard-coded, so to say, way, because we don't have a network request yet, and yeah, of course, the comma. And as we don't have network request, we just have some hard-coded data just to see how UI looks. And this last widget in this row is going to be also text, which will show the temperature. Dot temperature. Yes, to string. And probably the same text style has to be used here with font size 12 sp. Okay. Now we are passing state weather forecast, which is obviously empty. And just for testing purposes, I'm going to create dummy forecasts. So weather forecast, the date will be 12th of April 2024. The temperature is going to be, I don't know, any random double. 15.5, humidity 12.0, wind 3 meters per second, pressure 200, cloudiness, I think it's also double. Let's make it, is it a double? Yes, let's make it 70. And the weather condition can be sunny. Yeah. Don't forget to add the comma. Yes, comma here, comma here. Yeah. And just for bigger count, I will copy paste this dummy weather forecast a couple of times. 3, 4 would be enough. Well, let's rebuild it and see how it looks. Well, it's not bad. So we have a date, we have icon, and we have a temperature. Also important to mention that I'm going to replace date in future for day of week. So this is going to be more handy and more user-friendly. Let's change the main axis size of the row to max to kind of stretch it, and main axis alignment to space between. Yeah. has to be fine. Yeah, something like this. Probably we have to add some padding because you see that text is kind of look ugly. Use command dot to add the padding. The same here, I'm going to use sizer. Let's make it symmetric so we can specify horizontal padding as 5% of width and vertical padding as 2 or 1% of height. Of course, we have to remove the const. Yeah, let's rebuild it. See how it looks. Yeah, it's better. As well, I think we need to add padding for card itself because it doesn't look good now. I think we just need horizontal padding. So the same as before, I'm going to use symmetric and horizontal, let's say 2% of width, remove const. Let's rebuild it. Okay. Well, I guess most of the functionality or most of the UI in this card widget is ready, which means that we easily can extract this widget. So to not have this difficult widget tree, I will just use the extract command to create weather forecast daily just a card, which is going to create a new widget. Perfect. So now our item builder returns this weather forecast day card. One thing I'm going to change here, our day card doesn't need to know about all of the forecasts. It just needs one single forecast because it shows single forecast. That's why I'm going to change implementation a little bit. Good thing that we don't need to access forecast through index here. And this one has to be index forecasts. Yes. Is everything good? Let's check. Yeah, it looks fine. So now we have future forecasts ready. And now there is a turn for this huge big card, which will represent today forecast. As it's gonna be first forecast in our list, we know that first has index 0, and if our index 0 in our list view builder, we can say that we want to return another kind of widget, different. And in this case, we are going to return card as well. Column within the card, or other way around, card within the column. And why it's column? Because I want to have a title like current day of week. So let's start from the size box to have some margin from the top, and the second widget is going to be a text which will represent the current day of week, because this huge card, it doesn't have the day of week inside. This is how I see it. Let's make it Tuesday. Definitely we need some special text style. So the style will be different, will be bigger, text will be bigger, and probably we would need some boldness. So font size is going to be, I don't know, 25 SP, and font weight is going to be, let's make it just bold, or no, 500. 500 is a little bit less than bold, but kind of boldness. Yeah, let's rebuild it just in case to see how it looks. Yeah, it has Tuesday in the top. Okay, so you can see that one item disappeared, so we just want to keep all of them, and I added +1, and okay, index out of bounds, or range error. Of course, it has to be minus, not plus. Yeah, now it works. It has 4 items and Tuesday in the top when it's 0. Yeah, we removed the crash log just to verify that everything works fine. As I mentioned before, the second, it's here. The second widget in this column is going to be a card. Size box to make a margin. Let's make it 2H. And now it's time to add the card. Okay, this card will have quite some views or widgets. So as a child for this card, we need a column. This column will contain icon. Of course, let's add the elevation to have some shadow, fancy shadow. Yeah, it will have some children in the column, like current icon for the weather condition, the temperature, then humidity, what else? Wind speed. First is going to be just a temperature. So we can do forecasts 0, as this is the 0 element, temperature to string. And we also need some special text size, text style. So this widget is going to be big. So that's why I'm just thinking about possible text style and text size. Okay, text style, font size 55 SP. Yeah, quite big one. And font weight is going to be just bold. Yeah, it has to be bolder. Okay, I don't want to rebuild for now. I just want to fill out with data. So what's next? I think next should be icon. Okay, let's add all of this texts. So humidity. As you know, this is just a test project, so please don't store your screen strings within the widget. It has to be properly localized, and no hardcode, of course. It's just for scientific purposes. So we have humidity here, we have style with smaller text, way smaller text. Of course, for your convenience, you can specify different text styles inside the styles file. so you don't need to repeat every time. But this is for me rather small refactoring when we have like one simple screen. So we have humidity. I just copy pasted, and second one is going to be pressure and wind speed. So this one is wind, this one is pressure. I think it's typo. It has to be pressure. I'm not sure now. Okay. So yes. What's missing? I think icon is missing. Yeah, definitely. And in the top, we'll have icon. For now, it's just a sunny icon with bigger size, like 100. The biggest icon. I'm not going to make it const because I'm going to change it soon. Okay, looks not that bad, but I want to stretch it. So, and also I would need to add some margins. Of course, I will add size box with height of 3h, which is 3% of screen height. Okay, at least from the margin perspective, it looks good already. And we see this nice elevation for the main card. And now I want to stretch it. So it will be full width, so to say, match parent, like I used to say in Android. For that, I need cross-axis element stretch for my column. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, it stretches, but we have to play with paddings a little bit. So, and Tuesday sign, just jump to the left. Okay. Okay. I will also add the top padding for icon. Okay, and probably bottom padding for bottom margin for inside the card. Of course, it's possible to use just the padding, but yeah, Flutter is so cool. So you have many options. You have different options how to implement padding, how to make margins, and yeah, it's just up to you. And I will add padding for my card itself. So yeah, now it's aligned. It has better padding from left and right, so horizontal padding. And finally, we will wrap our text with center. Yes, it's centered. Cool, perfect. Yeah, we see that it's scrollable, but it has dummy data. But anyway, our UI looks good, and I would mark implement UI for weather forecast as done, because the next step is going to be to integrate actual network request for weather, open weather API. In order to do this, finally, we're going to change some code in our app module. As you remember, our app module is empty, and this is the place where we will initialize some network related classes, which we are going to create as well. And I think network is the perfect package for that. So yeah, coming back to our response, so you can see our response. We already have a model for that response. You can see this model on your screen now. And now is the time for creation some sort of, let's call it app URLs. So this is the storage of our URL strings. I will also make magic cut so you can see the URL right away, because it's a bad thing to write URL manually. And here is the magic cut. And as the result, you can see implemented app URLs. So it has base URL and it has a specific request URL, which contains base URL, API key, longitude, latitude, and some additional parameters like hourly, daily forecast, and we also specify unit, which is gonna be metric. So I'm not really good at imperial metrics, imperial system of measurement, so we will use metric just to understand if our data is at least correct. The next step is gonna be, I already created weather forecast API task, and this is the special class for executing network request. It's gonna be super simple and straightforward. So as well, we don't need to extend anything. We just need a final app URLs object instance. We also need instance of our DO library. The DO is a network client, which is also pretty straightforward, handy, easy to use. Of course, we need to import it. Yeah, and yeah, let's make them private. Yeah, privacy first. Now I'm thinking, so basically this initialization has to be done inside app module. So this is the right place to move initialization of such things as app URLs and DO network client to app module. So for that, we also need constructor. Good thing is that this constructor supports private fields, so we are not sharing visibility of these fields outside of the weather forecast API task. And let's implement our request. It's going to be single and first request. So it will return list of future of least weather forecasts. Let's call it load weather forecast. Yeah, pretty obvious. And we need to pass longitude and latitude to this function. Latitude, don't forget about commas, yes. And now we can create a response object, which is gonna be do, yeah, it's private, do.get, as we have get request. And here we need to specify pass. Pass is written in app URLs, and this is the pass to weather forecast. We passing longitude and latitude further. Basically, response is a future, so we might need to. Let's check if it's future. It's a future, definitely. So we need to make it synchronous, and yeah, load weather forecast has to be async. And now we can verify that status code is 200. For this workshop, I'm not gonna implement error handling, because yeah, it's gonna take some time and there are different errors. They could be handled differently. So for now, we just keep using successful path. And if you want to have some special error handling, you can implement it yourself, of course. So yeah, again, looking to our response. So each list item is actually weather forecast, but the problem is that each list item represents specific hour. So I think it's every 3 hours we have different weather forecasts. And now I'm going to parse the data, and this is the place where I'm going to do again magic cut, because I want to combine those items. We don't need that much list items in our application. We need to combine all of the list items into 5 or 6 list items, and each list item will represent average temperature, average humidity, average weather condition, so only average for the specific day. So we will group data by day, and we calculate averages for each parameter of weather forecast. So now you can see I'm parsing the list, and this is the place, this is exactly the place where I'm going to use magic cut, because the code is quite long, and in the same time there is nothing difficult, but it's just time consuming. So we are not focusing on parsing data. And yeah, here we are. Long story short, we group our weather forecasts by days. We also, like here, we also calculate averages for each day, average weather temperature, average humidity, wind, pressure, and for weather condition we have a special function which is determine most frequent condition. We parsing condition into our weather condition object, and this is like calculating of the most frequent condition. So if you have like sun, and then snow during the day, the average will be sun. So the most frequent one is counted as an average. Yeah, so as you can see, there is nothing difficult. This code will be available definitely, and you can check it out again, and I just don't want to stop and focus on this topic a lot. Yeah, coming back to our app module. So I mentioned before that we need to move initialization of app URLs and DIO to this app module. It also is going to be private. The same for DIO. And of course, we do not forget to import it. I think it also has to be late, because we are not passing this through the constructor to app module. And here we are going to initialize it, because the function is called init dependencies. As well as DIO and app URLs, we will have here our task, which we implemented before. So it's going to be weather forecast API task. Let's call it weather forecast API task just for readability. It's going to be public, because we are going to use it outside, and we just pass our app URLs and DIO created objects. So pretty straightforward. As you remember, we call init dependencies in the main function, and all of our dependency tree is implemented. So, and initialized. So yeah, this is kind of super simple dependency injection. Of course, you can use getX, you can use other things to make dependency injection in Flutter, but this one is pretty nice for such small project as we have. Of course, for the bigger project is going to grow this app module. You can split between different modules. Anyway, so the next step is going to be to introduce this weather forecast API task inside to put it inside our weather forecast block, because this is the place where we are going to use it. And of course, it has to be passed through the constructor like this. Of course, it needs to be required. Now we have an error here in GoRouter. We need to give this weather forecast task. And here we use app module weather forecast API task. So nothing difficult. Now we have everything ready for covering last event which we have. And this is gonna be, I think it's called load weather forecast event. Yes, the same way as before, we write some function name like load weather forecast without event, and using command dot we create a method. The same here, commas, yeah. So this is going to be the function which will execute our network call. But as you remember, we have is loading parameter in our state, and as network call is asynchronous, we're going to say that, hey, we are loading. And first of all, when we execute this event, we put loading state into the state chain. So now our state is loading and we can execute the request. Sorry, before that I just forgot. You need the location because we need longitude and latitude. And location we're going to import from our library, which we added before, plugin, sorry. And yeah, we have location. And now we can ask for location data, which is location data, get location. This location data already has longitude and latitude. It's also asynchronous, has to be awaited. And yeah, now finally it's time for getting the response. So let's create final weather forecasts. It's gonna be list, and we use weather forecast API task, load weather forecast. Here, don't mess up with longitude and latitude. We use location, longitude, location data, sorry, longitude and location data latitude. Dot latitude. Okay, something is wrong. Let's see. Okay, something is red. What's wrong here? Okay, so it has to be non-nullable. You can put exclamation mark, but I prefer default. So if at some point location, longitude or latitude is null, we just path 0.0, which I hope is not gonna happen. Okay, we have weather forecasts, and as soon as we receive it, we can do the state copy with is loading false because loading is finished, and we can pass weather forecasts. Weather forecasts. So okay, it's future. Yeah, I always forgot about this. Has to be a wait. Well, yeah, I think it looks great. It looks cool. So we have implemented handling of our last event. So it's almost done. So yeah, let's go into the widget, because now we don't need this dummy data. We can use the response, and here we exchange dummy data to state.weatherForecasts. Yeah, perfect. Straightforward. Let's rebuild the thing. And another range error. Yeah, weather forecasts are empty, which is, I think, obvious. So why it's empty? I think because we never execute add event for load weather forecasts. You remember that we made some wrong handling for loading weather forecasts. I mean, it's just missing, it's not wrong. So yeah, here we just post the fact that permission state is granted, which is not enough. And we're going to replace it to add load weather forecast event. And we will do the same for other event here. Load weather forecast event, yes. I think it's good, except we also need to change here the permission status, because permission is granted and we can show the weather forecast screen, not a screen, sorry. Okay, range error, what's wrong again? Oh, no, it's actually loading, look, it's actually loading, it shows correct information, except the, no, data is also correct, the date is correct, the temperature is correct, humidity looks fine, pressure, yeah, might be. 2.0.7 is wind speed. Yeah, I think it looks perfect, except some design. Yeah, our screen is already showing the real data, which is great. Now I think it's time to fix our icon, because it's hard-coded. It always shows sunny weather and sunny condition, which I would love to have always sunny days, but it's not how real world works, and the purpose of weather forecast is to show the real data, not the fake one. So let's replace this icon to some implementation. I would use the same pattern, like we have weather condition in num, and we need to map this weather condition in num into icon. So we need some function like get icon. How would I call it? Yes, I'm just thinking where I need to put it. Okay, this has to be fine. Anyway, we'll change it later. So this function will return icon, and we have it's gonna be get weather icon, and it depends on condition. So it will return a switch where we check on the condition. Oh, I forgot to pass it to the function. So it has to be weather condition. Yes, condition, and we also would need to pass the size, because as you remember, we have different sizes of these icons. We check on the condition. Okay, it's red, and add missing switch case. Okay, I thought it's gonna add all of them, but no, you need to add all of them manually to handle this case. It has to return icon. Yes, so let's remove all of these to-dos. And here we're going to just return the icon. I think, yeah, that's correct. Let's replace all of those nulls to icons. Yeah, it already looks better. And of course, icon requires some icon data. But before this, I will remove this nasty to-dos. Of course, I know that we need to handle this case. Yeah, okay, but maybe we can do something like this: return icon, and based on the switch condition, change the icon data. Something like this. Maybe it looks better. Oh no. Yeah, ion icons, sunny. No, I think it's not gonna work because we have different colors. If we will have the single color for each icon, yeah, let's forget about this. Yeah, we will return icon with some ion icons. Let's search for sunny. If it's sun, it's supposed to be size. It has a size, of course, and it's supposed to be colored with different color. So for sun, we're going to use yellow color, obviously. Where's the yellow? Yellow. Yes. I think this color looks fine. I'll just copy paste the whole line and replace sunny with proper icons and proper colors. Yes, so size is gonna be the same. Yeah, now it's formatted. So for cloud, I hope they have it. Cloud, yeah, they have some cloud. It's gonna be blue gray maybe. Yeah, with some shade. Let's just be creative. For rain, we have rainy, and for this we have also blue gray color, or just blue with also 400 shade. And for partially cloudy, is there something? I hope it is. So partially sunny. Yeah, let's do partially sunny. Let's stay optimistic. And for partially sunny, I would do just blue, like the same as for rain. And for snow, there is a snow icon, and we just use the white color. Yes, dot white. Now we can replace our hard-coded icon here. Yeah, here it is. It's actually nice that I didn't mark it as a constant, so you can see right away some wrong input. Okay, get weather icon condition we have from our weather forecast model. So we are going to use first element and the weather condition, and this is the big icon, so the icon on top. And here we are going to use exactly the same function. Oh, that's what I was talking about. It doesn't exist. We need to move it outside of the widget. Yes, it doesn't exist, definitely. So I'll just copy paste it and move it outside of the widget, somewhere here. And yeah, the same way we pass weather condition for the forecast and smaller size. Okay, I mean it looks good. Let's try to rebuild it. Oh, well, it's cool. It shows now proper conditions. Yeah, UI is a little bit nasty, so to say, because we have not formatted temperatures, we have not formatted dates, and humidity, pressure, and wind without units. So this is something I'm going to change. But before that, let's let's create a loading state. Yeah, this is something which is also important for the user interface. Loading widget is gonna be super simple. So we call it loading widget. And it will only contain the center, and inside the center it's gonna contain circular progress bar, progress indicator. That's it. I would like to have it in the white color, so it will match the theme of our application. Okay, and now we need to modify our mapping function from state to widget. We already have here handling this state, so we have permission state handling, but right before this I would like to add some state is loading, and if it's loading we return loading widget. Yeah, simple. Of course it has to be a constant. Okay, let's rebuild it. Yeah, we see the nice loading indicator, and then it shows the result. Okay, it looks great. I mean, I'm satisfied. Now let's change some UI. Let's make it better. Let's add, for instance, units to our humidity, pressure, wind. I think it will already make the main card better. So first of all, pressure is measured in pascals. I think it's pascals. And I would do toString as fixed, which makes a string with one digit after the floating dot. The same I will do for humidity. Humidity is measured in percents, so also one digit after the dot. For wind speed, we have meters per second, and I will also do the same. Maybe it can be done within ViewModel, but yeah, it depends. So maybe in the real project I would do it within ViewModel and give only the string data to the widget, but I think it's fine. And here we also need to make some units for our temperature. Okay, I will wrap this to string as fixed one. Does anyone know how to write this small degrees? Okay, whatever. I'll just Google it right here. Celsius symbol. Yeah, here we go. Here it goes, and I'll copy paste it. So nasty hack. Yeah. Now it's ready. Yeah, looks great. And think we can try to do similar for small weather forecast item. So we will wrap it into the string builder and give the same unit as above. And for date, as I said before, I want to show the day of week, so the name of the day of week, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and so on. For this, I need to use the time format. Do we actually have it? No, I think we don't have the special library. So yeah, we need to add another dependency. It's gonna be Flutter pub add. It's called intel. This is a nice dependency to work with date formatting. And also plurals and some internationalization and localization. So now we can use date format class, and yeah, of course we need to import it. So it has a function. Now, yeah, we need to specify format which we need, which is E for us. It stands for day of the week. Then we need to convert our date into the time object using parse function. And yeah, let me write it down, forecast.date. Yeah, let's rebuild it. Restart it, of course. Yeah, now we see Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday here. Yeah. Also, we can see digits, correct units. Yeah, well, I think application looks more or less ready. So last things which I want to change as well. I have this Tuesday hard-coded here, and I want to also use the current date. And for that I will do exactly the same. So I need date format, but as a format I will pass the full date of the week, which is I think 3 or 4e, I don't remember. Let me think. I think it should be 4 e's. Yes, something like this. Yeah. Then we use format function, and the same way we convert. No, it's just a string. Yeah, I have to wrap it into the parse function of datetime. So datetime dot parse, which takes a string, and yes, now it's good. Commas. Yeah. Now let's see. Yeah, I mean it will be not changed because it's still Tuesday, so it's the same. But now, of course, the title of our screen will be dynamic. Let's play with padding a little bit, do some bottom padding, because it looks like the list view is touching the bottom. and now you see that the last item has a nice padding. What else? What else to improve? I think it's mostly it. Yeah, I will remove this index -1 and lens +1 because yeah, we don't need today small card below. So Tuesday is the first card and Wednesday is the next card. Tuesday is a big one and all small one starts with the next day. That was kind of a bug. Yeah, now it's time to move our widget to the separate file. So we have weather forecast widget .dart. Yes, and we can now easily move this huge widget to the separate file. Yeah, something like this. Of course, we will not forget about imports. Something is missing. Yeah, sizer and the card. I'm not going to import it now because I need to move it also to the separate file. So we will select this, cut, and create weather daily or weather forecast icon.dart. Yes, so this one is done. We added all imports, sizer. Okay, this looks good. Now we can fix imports for weather forecast widget and weather forecast screen. Import all of the functions we need for icon, Intel. Yeah. Of course, we have to remove all unused imports. So also the spaces, because yeah, we copy pasted things. Well, yes, that's basically it. And we can complete our last action point. So it was a long workshop, something new for me, and I hope you liked it, and hit this like button, subscribe. There will be more workshops, more lessons, and hope to see you in the next videos. Bye.